7 years ago, I graduated college, and much to the bafflement of my friends and family, said I would join the world of social impact. I was armed with the writings of C.K. Prahalad, David Bornstein, and a few excerpts from this book that hadn't been published in India yet. I found them online, The Blue Sweater. I dove headfirst into rural India, setting up vocational training centers for school dropouts. I was living out of two bags, traveling for months at a time, spending my days in thousands of villages across India and my nights in hundreds of small towns. I was energized every day because I saw myself as building these training centers to be well-oiled machines of impact that I knew would work many times over after I was done with them. Before I knew it, it had been 5 years, and I had set up 100 training centers personally, which were training 20,000 youth each year and connecting them to entry-level jobs. I should have been over the moon. I did exactly what I had promised and defied my parents to do, create impact. But I wasn't. I found myself getting drained, sometimes even burnt out. I found myself losing grip on that passion that got me into the sector. Above all else, I found myself feeling utterly alone.
My journey started a decade ago when I was playing in the summer, in fields of my village. One summer evening was not like everything else. I was playing in the fields, and at a distance I found an old man, must be like about 70-year-old, lean built with a turban, sitting and eating something. I was curious. I just walked to see as to what he was eating. I was shocked to find that he was eating mud from a farm stream. The first reaction as a 17-year-old was I got super angry at him. I said, "What is this stupid mud-eating business?" And he looked at me with a lot of helplessness and said, "I'm a farmer, my crops failed, I'm hungry, and my stomach doesn't know that my pocket is empty." I walked away from that situation with fear, helplessness, I don't know what. Fast forward 4 years. I was working in PricewaterhouseCoopers, doing consulting, and my head said, "I think this is your zone, you're doing well, continue doing this." But my heart said, "I think I've still not reconciled to that situation, seen what I had seen." And it just said, "I think you should do something about these farmers." There was a conflict for a while. And finally, I just made the choice. I went with my heart. And I said, in this life, I should do two things. One, become a farmer. And two, work for the farmers. And in 2011, I started Cosmos Green. I got into agriculture. And we worked with about close to 8,000 farmers in different capacities, including training them, etc. But there was one vacuum in the heart. That is, 3 out of 5 farmers that we were working with lost money from farming because their crops were failing. That's the kind of crossroads that Kaushik and I were at when we joined Acumen Fellowship. It was beautiful. I mean, we learned a lot of things. We learned about leadership. We learned about ways to build products for serving the bottom of pyramid. We learned about ways to think about solving the complex ecosystem problems. Most importantly, I think what we both cherish is we got a fantastic community.
So meeting kindred spirits, most of them who were walking similar paths, a lot of them, like Sathya, facing similar challenges, to me felt remarkably like finding family, finding home. I told Jacqueline at the end of the fellowship that the 1 year had helped me find my drive again, my passion again. What I was still missing was a cause to throw myself into, the way that I had done before. I found that cause with Sathya. We met almost a month after the fellowship. I was looking for a problem to apply my experience of building scalable businesses to. Sathya was looking for, Sathya was grappling with a problem which he needed a scalable solution to, and we immediately clicked. And Kheyti, which literally means farming in Hindi, was born. We learned at the Acumen Fellowship that it starts with standing with the poor and listening to voices unheard. So we left the next day into the field to talk to farmers and figure out the solution to this problem that we were talking about.
Reshma is one of the farmers that I've known personally for about 5 years. She farms vegetables in about 3 acres of land. She's one of the hardest working farmers I've ever seen for the kind of effort she puts in day on day into a profession which is so often unforgiving. In a conversation with Reshma, she said last year she's grown tomatoes and most of her tomatoes were ruined by a pest. The next 6 months was excess heat and she couldn't produce anything worthwhile. After that, the next season of production, what she started was ruined by one unseasonal rain. We were quite puzzled to listen to her story and we said, okay, look, I think we should talk to more farmers and understand their problem. And the more and more we started talking to, we realized it is not just Reshma's problem. Ladies and gentlemen, 100 million small farmers in India actually share Reshma's plight. 60% of them would want to quit farming if they find an alternative. 90% of them do not want their kids to come into farming. And we are talking about global food security. Now, 80% of the food that we eat is produced by the small farmers. And if these small farmers don't farm and they don't find prospect in farming, where are we going to get the food security from?
So we started looking at what sort of technologies can solve this problem. How can Reshma protect her crops from all the climate risks that she's facing and also make a steady, dependable income, and her hard work pays off? So the answer came to us as greenhouse farming. And we designed what we call the Kheyti greenhouse in a box. It's an affordable modular greenhouse bundled with services that does one simple thing, that Reshma's hard work pays off and she earns exactly what she expects from her land. So a greenhouse can protect farmers' crops from excess heat, unseasonal rain, pests, all the things we talked about, and uses 90% less water when compared to open cultivation. But traditional greenhouses have been inaccessible to small farmers like Reshma due to a variety of reasons, cost being one of them. Keeping Reshma in mind, we've designed our greenhouse to be modular at 2,500 square feet, half a basketball court. Our simple design changes make this greenhouse cost 60% what regular greenhouses cost. The environmental protection helps farmers like Reshma grow 7 times more food and earn 12 times more profits in that small plot of land that they install a modular greenhouse in.
We have done a very interesting experiment in this year, in the month of March. Even before talking about this claim of greenhouse works, we wanted to see, hey, let's grow something in the open field. Let's also grow something in the greenhouse. Let's see the results ourselves. So in the month of March, we said, Reshma, let's do this. We chose cucumber as the crop. And we have done sowing in the month of March. And we knew that in about a month, we could see some results. And we were around mid of April. Plants were growing beautifully in both open as well as greenhouse. In 10 days, the situation changed dramatically. Temperatures increased. The plants in the open farming died. And then the ones in the greenhouse thrived. Reshma was able to take the harvest out of it. She was able to sell and get money out of that just in 10 days' time, right? So from, compared to where the situation was. So this gave us a confidence that this technology works. But we realized that technology alone can't solve the farmer's problem. Today, farmer faces roadblocks at the end of every bend. Today, they have bad inputs, lack of access to finance, lack of access to market. So unless all these elements are plugged in, the farmers can't make money. So then we realized that we should find a way to integrate all these solutions into what we're doing. While greenhouse is the key and the core, we connect the farmers with access to right inputs, connect the farmers to banking solutions, market solutions, and technology for production to make sure farmers get a seamless path out of poverty.
So how does this seamless path work for a farmer like Reshma? All she needs to do is invest $100, which is 5% of the greenhouse cost upfront. She gets a loan for the rest, and we install a greenhouse on our farm. From years 1 through 5, starting from the 60th day, Reshma grows more food, gets training, input linkages, market linkages, end-to-end support from us, repays the loan, and earns a steady, dependable income of $100 a month for her family. From years 6 through 15, which is the life of the greenhouse, Reshma is loan-free, and she earns a steady, dependable minimum income of $150 a month. What the Kheyti greenhouse does is very simple. Reshma's income cycle today looks something like this. It's extremely lumpy, extremely risky, and has possibility of her dropping below the poverty line at every point of time. We convert that to look something like this, that a minimum steady, minimum positive income that helps Reshma stay above the poverty line at all times.
Our journey has been very interesting. We started this work in May 2015. We made, based on farmer conversations, hundreds of conversations, we made our first structure. That first structure, within a few months, got blown away by storm. And after a little bit of disappointment, we kind of got back, and then we got back to the drawing board, we learned the lessons, and we made the next structure. Today, this is how it looks, which is much stronger, and we believe this is something which is suitable for the Indian conditions and even for the other similar conditions. Now, in this year, we have also done production inside these greenhouses. We have grown cucumbers, peppers, tomatoes, and seen exactly how the production works and how the results come. So now we have a greater confidence in terms of the promise what we make, whether it be the number of the yield or revenues or costs. We have seen that firsthand now. Recently, we signed up with the first 5 farmers who are the paying customers who invested into the promise of greenhouse in a box. But this is not a journey that we have done by reinventing the wheel. We partnered with India's largest material suppliers to make sure we get the inputs. And we have partnered with ICRISAT, International Crop Research Institution, for the results. And recently, to make the structure much better from what it is today, we partnered with Stanford's Extreme and Penn State Engineering Department towards making this more affordable, more accessible. In terms of delivery of other elements to the farmers, when the farmers told us that finance is a critical bottleneck in the whole process, we partnered with 2 financing institutions which provide financing solutions to the farmers. When the seeds became a critical component of the whole game, we partnered with a company based out of, it's a Dutch company, which makes vegetable seeds, one of the best companies in the world. And similarly, for marketing of produce, we partnered with India's largest online grocer. To create a pipeline to reach more women farmers, we have partnered with women groups and farm producer organizations. This has happened with the funding support that we got from Plus Acumen Funder Circle and Northwestern University, Common Bond, and Columbia Business School.
Even on the team front, it is not a journey Sathya and I can make alone. Our team is equally augmented by Soumya, who's a Kellogg MBA with an incredible mind for design. She leads our product development efforts. And Ayush, who is our agronomy backbone, someone who's run agriculture operations across 250 acres of land for the past 5 years, who really understands the science of it. We also have an extremely stellar group of mentors, social entrepreneurs, venture capitalists, board members of agricultural conglomerates in India, all of whom support us in our decision making. We're incredibly lucky to have 2 families who support us on different levels, Acumen and Aspen Institute, where Sathya is another fellow of. There are 100 million small farmers in India, and almost none of them have access to technology such as this. Our vision and our dream is that the Kheyti greenhouse becomes a one-size-fits-all asset that we can deliver to 1 million small farmers by 2025. An asset which ensures that 5 million lives don't fall back into the poverty cycle as easily as they do today. We want to bring you back to Reshma. What does this Kheyti greenhouse in a box mean to a farmer like Reshma? This is Reshma today. She was one of the first users of our greenhouse. So Reshma has already started making $100 of steady income a month using this greenhouse. Over the life of the greenhouse, she'll make an additional $24,000 of profit for her family. Our average farm income has already increased by 100%. Reshma is a successful farmer.
She's not just a successful farmer. She's the biggest brand ambassador for Kheyti today. She talks to farmers, she calls them, she inspires them. And today, the happiness and smile what we see on Reshma's face, we want to see on the faces of a million farmers. Now, this is the most awaited thing because farmers definitely and desperately need a permanent path out of poverty. Their kids need to eat better food. Their kids should go to better schools. And for all this to happen, this is not a journey that we believe we can do alone. We look for friends among you who can support us in this cause, mentors who can guide us, and we really look for great collaborators who can help us walk this journey. Friends, it's our collective responsibility to make sure that a farmer like Reshma, her hard work doesn't go in vain. And small farmers should never be seen eating mud ever again. Come, join us in making every small farmer a smart farmer. Thank you.